So this is exactly why this is one of my favorite Resident Evil games. It's Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. It's the replay value, not to mention all the DLCs, the bonus content that you have, the season pass. Um, and what I mean by replay value, it's because the game has a really good story from the beginning to the middle and then to the end. Especially at the ending, which we are at the ending here. Once you defeat Jack, the monster, in that shack, that's next to the water or on the water, um, then you have to make a choice. You were given two serums, right? One for Mia and one for Zoe. However, Zoe gave you the serum to inject it into her father to eliminate his father. And now there's only one serum left. And you have to make a decision between that one serum. Do you give it to Mia or do you give it to Zoe? And you can choose who you want to save. You can save Zoe. If you save Zoe, then you get to enjoy all the secrets shown to you in a Zoe's DLC. You'll find out everything about the Jack's family, about Zoe's family, how they got tangled up with this experiment, all of that, all the key players, key characters, all the secrets will be shown to you. You will know all the secrets, and you'll learn more about the Zoe. So you have a much better understanding what happened here on this Louisiana small town. Very isolated small town. That's if you help Zoe. But if you help Mia, then you continue playing as Mia. And you get rescued by Chris Redfield. And then that leads to Resident Evil 8 The Village. And in the beginning of the Resident Evil 8 The Village, we see Mia, we see Ethan, and they have a baby named Rose. And then, I don't want to spoil it, then you know what happens after that. But I think this is what gives Resident Evil 7 such a high value versus Resident Evil 2. To me, replaying Resident Evil 2, it's boring because I constantly have to go back and forth, looking for this, looking for that, solve the puzzles. And it's like a non-stop for like 10 hours. You're just collecting stuff. And then after 10 hours, you meet Ada, and Ada start telling you something. Yeah, just follow me. You'll have to work hard if you want to know more, And I didn't like that about Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 7 and 8 are excellent. But the best, in my opinion, it's Resident Evil 7. It was the very first Resident Evil that introduced the first-person mode. It was the very first Resident Evil that introduced a new graphics engine. It was the very first Resident Evil game that had PlayStation VR, virtual reality, which was exclusive to PlayStation VR in 2017. This is an old game, 2017. And Resident Evil 8 was a good sequel. That's the way I look at The Village. People say, what do you think about The Village? To me, The Village is a good sequel. But Resident Evil 7, in my opinion, is one of the best. Resident Evil 2 and 3, honestly, boring. Resident Evil 4 was good, was not boring. There was a lot of stuff going on there. But Resident Evil 2 was just back and forth. In that police station, you're just going back and forth. Go down on the garage, go back up and back and forth. Go to the jail cell, back and forth. And then after 10 hours, finally, you get to talk to Ada and you escape and Ada start telling you what's really going on, blah, blah, blah. I just find it boring. And I find Resident Evil 2 way too overrated. It's unbelievably so overrated, man. It is laughable. Can I be honest? It is laughable how overrated Resident Evil 2 is. To me, this is the best Resident Evil. But let me show you. Like, this is Me playing as Mia now. I am Mia. Okay. And we embark into this giant boat. Okay. We got knocked out by this snake or whatever this was. Some kind of a monster snake. Mutated monster. Okay. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I know what it is and I know who it is, but I don't want to surprise it just yet. But that's because I made a choice to go with Mia. So this gives you replay value. So let's say whenever I purchase Nintendo Switch 2 version of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition, guess what? Gold Edition has all the DLCs and a Season Pass. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to replay that same Resident Evil 7 and I will choose Zoe next time instead of Mia. So once I choose Zoe, then when I finish the game, I'll be able to continue the DLCs and season passes and find out all the secrets on what has happened, what led to this event on in Louisiana, okay? And we'll learn more about the Zoe's family. So that's what I'm going to do with Nintendo Switch 2 version of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. And again, this brings me back to my point. This is where Resident Evil 7 has a high value, replay value, in my opinion, versus Resident Evil 2, which, I find it boring. I've been playing it recently. You've seen me play it. I even used the cheat codes, and still, even with the cheat codes, it was still boring. It was still going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Resident Evil 2, I'm sorry I have to say this, both Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 way too overrated. And my God, Resident Evil 2, it's super, super overrated. It's laughable. I'm sorry that I have to say this. It is laughable. It is laughable how super, super overrated Resident Evil 2 is. When you look at 7 and 8, are you kidding me? When you look at 5 and 6 and 4 and the original, even Resident Evil 0, even Resident Evil 0 on GameCube, it's better than Resident Evil 2, in my honest opinion. That's Mia, so we're playing as Mia. And this is a ship, and we'll meet Chris Redfield here soon enough. That's Ethan.
Ethan? Ethan! Ah! Ethan! Ethan!
You guys have to play this in VR. Trust me. Playing Resident Evil 7 Biohazard in VR, it's truly a pleasure. I know you're probably wondering, was Mia involved with Chris Redfield? Was Mia involved in some sort of a umbrella experiment? Look, I don't want to spoil everything for you guys. Some of these things you need to find out on your own. I love Resident Evil, but I also don't want to spoil everything. You know, you need to play the game. All you need to know is this. My reasoning for making these videos is to show you why Resident Evil 7, it's my favorite. Resident Evil 8, The Village, it's a good sequel. It's not better than 7, but it's a good sequel. Especially the ending of Resident Evil 8, The Village, sets up such a great new chapter for Resident Evil 10. And I can't wait for Resident Evil 10. So am I excited for Resident Evil Requiem? Like I said in the previous video, I mean, I'm excited that we have a new Resident Evil game. But in terms of story, I want to know what happens with Rose and Chris Redfield and how's he raising her and all that stuff, man. There's so much there. And, you know, Claire Redfield, because, you know, that's his sister. So both Chris Redfield and Claire Redfield, they're raising Rose. And Rose has some of this stuff. She has the power. And you're going to find out why she has the power. But you need to finish the village to understand why Rose, this baby, was so important. Because of the power that it has. So I think majority of people, I believe, majority of people who are familiar with Resident Evil, okay, and I believe that's a majority of fans who are familiar with Resident Evil franchise, they're probably more excited, you know, to see Resident Evil 10 than they are about the 9. Although it's good to see Leon get some sort of a closure with the whole Raccoon City, man. And I hope that this is the last time we have to revisit Raccoon City. I'm sick and tired of Raccoon City and Leon and Raccoon City. Please, man, enough. Let's not go back to Raccoon City. Let's push the ball forward, man. You know. And let's continue with the story of Chris Redfield and Claire Redfield and see where it goes. Now, if Leon and Grace Ashcroft want to join, fine and dandy. They can join in a 10. Resident Evil 10, they can join, you know. And we can have 4 characters. Chris, Claire, Grace, and Leon. I'm sorry. And then Leon, of course. Leon. Leon Kennedy. Okay, I'm going to disappear for a little bit because I want you guys to enjoy this without me interrupting you.
What was that?
I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to enjoy this. After this is finished, then I'll talk about it. Then I'll come back. So you're probably wondering what's up with this boat. Well, this boat is where the whole experiment went wrong. This is where the Umbrella Corporation you know, virus has broke out and it's spread out here and it's spread out here onto the Louisiana harbor where Jack lives. So now you understand how this whole thing broke out. But if you want to understand in full detail how did this virus get on this ship to begin with, then of course you need to save Zoe. And when you save Zoe, then you play the DLC, and through DLC you will understand exactly what happened on this ship. Again, this gives Resident Evil 7 a great value, a replay value.
They're dead. They're all dead. What is it? The engine room. What the fuck are you talking about? She killed them all. Fuck. What the hell is going on? We need some weapons. Is there any weapons on this ship? I don't know. But look, let's go this way. Maybe we can get out of here.
And again, this goes back to what I was saying. This gives this game a great value. You get to find out both saving Mia and then saving Zoe, which gives you another replay to replay it and then play the DLCs. So this is what I meant by this game has a huge replay value. And this is why, to me, Resident Evil 7 is the best. And I really hope that they will keep the same momentum on Resident Evil 9 Requiem. I know that they're giving you option to choose between a first person and a third person, which I think that's great. I love that option. I love when developers gives the player option on how to play. Having options, it's always a great way to appreciate the players, because the players will appreciate you, the developers, when you are giving the players the choice to play how they want to play. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the fact that you can choose between a first person or a third person on Resident Evil Requiem. And here you can see the captain, chief engineer, first officer, second officer, mechanic, communication technician, physician. All the names are here on the ship. But what happened? What got out? Exactly. She's inside me. She's inside everyone. Kind of like The Thing. Like John Carpenter's The Thing. You know, that's the scariest thing, is the invisible virus that creeps up inside of you. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of monsters. You know, you see a monster, you see it, right? But the invisible monster is the worst. The one you cannot see, but you can feel, and it changes you for the worst.
Settle down, little girl. Settle.
Are you remembering?
What? What are you?
I could tell you who that girl is, but I don't want to spoil it, you know. I don't want to spoil everything. I want you guys to play this game, you know. If I spoil everything, well then, where's the fun of you playing the game, right? For the same reason, if I spoil a TV show or a movie, what's the point of watching a TV show or a movie if I spoil it? I'm just giving you a little bit of a breadcrumb so you can follow me along the way, but without giving away too much.
You said we could be a family.
What are you talking about?
You said!
Wait!
I'm tired of waiting.
Please!
Okay, so I'll leave it right here because I don't want to spoil the ending. Even though I already told you Chris Redfield will save her, and of course both Chris and Ethan will be saved by Chris Redfield. But there's more to this ending. What happened on the ship? Who is that little girl? I could tell you what happened on this ship. I could tell you who that little girl is, but then I would be spoiling the game. You know, I'm just giving you enough of breadcrumbs to follow me along the way. And also I'm trying to prove the point to you why I believe that Resident Evil 7 is one of the best Resident Evil games, in my honest opinion. And it still holds up after, what, how many years? 2017? Since 2017, this game still holds up. And that's the whole point of this video. I know my Resident Evil games. Listen, let me bring my camera back. Hold on. I forgot where my camera is to turn it on. Jesus. That's just great. Because you guys want to see me, right? Alright, there it is. So, what I was saying basically is what makes this my favorite Resident Evil game, and I hope that you guys see that through these videos, live streams that I have done of Resident Evil 7, I hope you realize, oh, I see what he's talking about. The way the game is constructed, it's constructed so well. And this is why, to me, this is the best Resident Evil. 7 and 8 are perfect 2 games that you need to play. Highly recommend that you get 7, 8, and of course Requiem on Nintendo Switch 2. But I would recommend that you first play 7 and 8, and then play Requiem, because I think you really should experience 7 and 8. Just to see how amazing 7 and 8 is. And then you can play Requiem. You don't necessarily have to play 7 and 8, because Requiem has nothing to do with 7 and 8. But I'm telling you, 7 and 8 is just, if you missed out on this. And I think a lot of you, especially for those of you who are on Nintendo Switch 2, once you start playing this, Resident Evil 7, I think you will understand why this is my favorite. Why I considered Resident Evil 7 Biohazard to be one of my favorites, and still is one of my favorites. You know, and hopefully you guys will understand why I considered Resident Evil 7 to be one of my favorite Resident Evil games in the franchise. Alright, it's about 30 minutes. Like I said, this is the end. I don't want to spoil the ending here for you guys, because it's like we're at like a very end of the game. You guys can continue. Once you get to this level, you'll find out on your own what the ship is, what happened to the ship, and who that girl is, that little girl. Okay? And it'll be shocking when you find out. Okay? That's before Chris Redfield comes in to rescue Mia and Ethan. Okay? This is before Chris Redfield comes in to rescue Mia and Ethan. Alright, well, thank you for watching. I hope you guys like these Resident Evil videos and Resident Evil video games, especially now that we are so close to Resident Evil 9 Requiem. Thank you for watching.